fire, fire for fire, fire. Okay, let's watch the background NPC. She was talking about Nintendo sucking, as per usual. I am very much ready. I have not purchased the Nintendo Switch myself. I am not falling for it. I am not stupid. I will not subject myself to Nintendo slop. I might play it later, but... or not play it later, buy it later, but I don't know. It's not really worth it.
So, the Switch 2 is out, and honestly, I wish I could say I was excited. I really wanted to be excited. Like many 90s babies, I grew up on Nintendo. They were my very first gaming love. And not just the games, but the feeling of them. The wonder, the warmth, the way they pulled you into a world and made it feel like home. Ocarina of Time was the one that really awoke something in me. That opening in Kokiri Forest with the Deku Tree, riding Epona across Hyrule Field, it all felt so massive. Like,
I was not a Zelda Link kid, but I really did enjoy Pokemon Stadium, dude. That shit changed my fucking life. Those little mini games and shit. Oh my lord. My brother's friends had a Nintendo 64 and they borrowed it and would come over to the house, and like they were older than me, so I got to like, you know, smash the little fucking console and like play with it, but I didn't get any of it. I sucked at it, but it was awesome.
a real world was tucked inside a little cartridge. And then Majora's Mask came along, and my little self had never felt such anxiety. That eerie moon, the ticking clock, the emotional side quests that made you care so much in so little time. It was the very first game that made me feel something beyond just fun. It was sad, confusing, kind of strange at times, and very deep. It was.
And I like that they evolved with that, because the kids that bought the game, they grew up, obviously. They didn't just want another, you know, Ocarina of Time. Yeah, I think that's what happened.
Than just Zelda.
Smart.
I was obsessed with Super Mario 64. Running wild through Peach's castle, jumping into paintings, discovering every secret star. That game felt like true freedom. And then there were classics like Kirby's Dream Land, Yoshi's Story, Donkey Kong 64, Star Fox, Metroid Prime, all completely different and wonderful in their own way. And every one of them had a vibe,
Metroid
a
was
soul,
awesome.
that Nintendo spark that made it feel like you weren't just playing, you were being let in on something very special. And then my parents bought me the original DS, and just like that, the whole thing was crap.
Oh my god, I stole a DS. Did I steal it? Yeah, I stole it. Yeah, I stole a DS when I was like 8. Some kid gave it to my friend, and then I stole it off of that friend, and I think that friend got blamed, and I stole it. Yep, I was a rat piece of shit. You wanna know why? Because my parents wouldn't fucking buy me one, so I really wanted one. They had Rayman on the 3DS and they had Pokemon Red and Leaf. I think it was Red? Yeah, Fire Red and Leaf Green. I think they had Leaf Green. Yeah. Damn, that's fucked up. I know, I was a horrible kid. I'm sorry. Like, I'm just saying, kids are stupid, man. Kids are stupid. I've never stolen anything since then. Like, seriously? I'm just saying. Like, I'm not a klepto or anything, but kids are fucking stupid.
Cracked wide open for me. That's how I found Animal Crossing Wild World, and I was hooked. I spent hours in that little village, rearranging furniture, writing letters, fishing for red snappers, and visiting my best friend's town during our weekly sleepovers. Even now—
That is so cute! I didn't have, like, many gamer friends. I only had one, and she only had a PlayStation. Yeah. My experience with SmugAlana.inc. Guys, I was literally, like, 7 or 6 years old. Cut me some slack, man. And my parents cucked me. I never got to own a console until I was an adult, pretty much. And that DS lasted me forever. I even bought myself a Game Shark with it. Like, I bought a Game Shark just to play games because I couldn't afford to play games, okay? Like, I never sold it. I never did anything with it.
Now, just hearing the soundtrack makes me very emotional. It takes me right back to those quiet, cozy afternoons after school, all curled up with that clunky silver DS with nowhere else that I needed to be.
God, it was
Truly
so
the
good.
epitome of nostalgia.
It was
I didn't know
amazing.
it then, but those games were helping to shape how I saw everything.
Yep.
Stories, characters, even myself. And for a while, it really felt like Nintendo understood how to make something that mattered. And it didn't stop.
Yeah, and then capitalism struck. What a surprise. You did have a gamer friend until you stole their DS. No. No, that's not what happened. My friend that I slept over at, she had a friend that let her borrow a DS, and then she quote-unquote lost it, but it turns out I stole it. And then I never told them. And I secretly played the DS at my house, and I never told anybody about it.
There, I basically owned
It's
every
different.
major Nintendo console, starting with the N64,
No, it was a friend of a friend.
GameCube, Wii, DS, 3DS, even the Wii U, which, in my humble opinion, was ahead of its time, by the way. But I owned
Nah, it was not a scope. The Wii U sucked.
all of them. And when the Switch was announced with Breath of the Wild, I was beyond excited. Like, very cringely crying at the announcement trailer excited.
Oh my god! I don't know whether I should say it's cute or not, but like it's like a cute cringe, okay?
As a
It's a
Zelda
cute
fan, it was
cringe.
everything I'd ever wanted in a game, and to this day, it is still one of my favorites. That launch brought back so much of the old magic, which is probably why I held on for so long, and I even wanted to work for them. Like, genuinely. I applied to corporate
Aw.
Nintendo PR jobs probably 15 to 20 times. I'm not even exaggerating. Back in
Wow.
2019, I was pursuing PR, and when I got the opportunity to go to E3 that year, the very last E3, by the way, I actually
Wow,
spoke with a
that's lucky.
Nintendo PR team in person. It was magical. The Nintendo section of the event was so overwhelming and electric, and I remember thinking, this is it. This is what I want.
She killed E3. Woman shows up at E3, explodes.
This is what I want to be a part of. So please hear me out. What we are about to discuss isn't coming from someone who's out to bash Nintendo. This is coming from someone who genuinely, wholeheartedly, even at times very cringely, loved Nintendo and their games.
I feel the same exact way about Blizzard. Everyone has their balls gripped on some sort of company that used to be amazing, and then they shit the bed. Like, I don't defend Blizzard anymore, but I used to defend their slop like Overwatch until it turned to shit, obviously. But like, I don't know, man. If Blizzard could come back and it's just like Blizzard from 2008, I would actually be so happy. I just, oh my god, dude. Yeah, Ubisoft, Bungie. Yeah, there's a lot of people that suck Konami's cock too. Bethesda. Yeah. Like, you can acknowledge and say that the company's flawed and still, like, you know, you still enjoy it in some regard. I don't know. It's really sad.
And really believed in what I thought they stood for. But over time, I've started to realize that maybe Nintendo isn't the company I thought they were.
Yep.
What I've seen over the last few years is that my nostalgia goggles have been working overtime, and they've kept me from really seeing the true nature of a company that
Well, that's what they want you to do. They played the long game, and unfortunately the corpse that's like basically being puppeteered is not the same Nintendo that you fell in love with. Girl, I feel that so much with Blizzard. It's sad.
I once held so dear to my heart. So, let's dive in. And let's start with the release of the Switch 2. It's officially out now, and sales are booming. Records are being broken, and over 3 million units were sold worldwide on release day. People are also loving Mario Kart World, and I'm genuinely very happy for them. Yes, the game looks like a lot of fun. I just
haven't
wish
bought it.
I felt something, because more than anything, I just feel tired. At $450 or $500 if you get it bundled with Mario Kart World, this doesn't feel like a celebration of the next chapter. It feels like Nintendo seeing how far they can stretch our loyalty, how much they can charge us for something that isn't even new, just a little bit newer. And listen, I'm not...
Someone in my chat earlier said, "Oh, Alana, the Nintendo Switch 2 isn't that bad. It's only $500. It's got more battery life than the Steam Deck and the Asus portable gaming console, hand console." And I'm just thinking to myself, like, do you realize that every single game Nintendo releases is gonna be $80, and to top it off, you can't even get like cartridges for it? You can buy a console for less, by the way, and the Steam Deck can play games that are $10 and $20 and not cost you an arm and a leg. No, and they never lower prices. You can't go to the Steam Summer Sale and get it for your Steam Deck, man. It's 500 clams. What do you mean it's only 500 games.
Here to crap on Mario Kart. I actually really like Mario Kart. I do. It's one of those comfort games that's always been there, and it's attached to so many fond memories of playing with friends and family.
Killing
But
friends.
even though it looks fun, when that's the flagship title for a brand new console launch, I don't know. I personally just couldn't get behind the hype. It feels kind of boring, safe, predictable. Nintendo isn't asking hey,
that's what they want. That's what the Corpo Borpo want. 10-year-old game still full price. You want Pokemon Shining, what is it called? Shining Pearl? That's still $70, by the way. It's been out for like 10 years.
what's possible here. They're asking, what can we get away with? Because $80 for Mario Kart World, that's not just a new number. It's a shift in how this industry treats its players. And what surprises me, even though it shouldn't at this point, is that it's Nintendo, of all companies, ushering in this new pricing standard. This wasn't them.
Mario Kart World costs $80. Will GTA 6 cost $80? No, you're gonna eat that shit for $90, bitch.
Reluctantly following the trend that I know was inevitable, but this was them leading the charge, setting a precedent, establishing $80 as the new normal, and not with some expansive, genre-pushing new experience, but with an exact game formula that we've literally seen 16 times at this point. And it makes you ask,
it's a crime.
Why? Because meanwhile, I'm looking at games like Helldivers 2, Hi-Fi Rush, Lies of P, Remnant 2, Clair Obscur, Baldur's Gate 3, and so many more. Games.
Baldur's Gate 3 has, unironically, if you rush the game, probably like 500 hours in it. If you, no, sorry, 300 hours if you rush the game. Like, not doing any side quests, like trying to get there from point A to point B, and it costs $70 or $60. How is that possible?
That have real creative vision, some with massive campaigns, even some with fleshed out co-op systems, launching at or below $60. And many of these games are taking risks and really pushing boundaries, and somehow they're still finding a way to be more accessible. So when Nintendo drops a new console and leads with yet another Mario Kart at a higher price than ever before, it doesn't feel like they're honoring their legacy. It feels like they're monetizing it, like they're using it against us. Actually, kind of feels like a slap in the face that stings pretty badly. And yes, to be fair, the Switch 2 is a technical upgrade. 4K visuals, better battery, smoother performance, more storage.
Guys, it's so you can play Breath of the Wild for the 15th time in 4K graphics instead of 2K graphics. Yep, awesome. Thank you very much. I love Nintendo slop.
All technically better on paper, but it doesn't feel like a new era. It seems like a slightly fancier version of something that we already had. And for me personally, this realization of who Nintendo is not like a sudden moment of awakening. I've quietly been stepping back from them for a while now. And not because I stopped loving their games, but because I started seeing the patterns, the choices, and the shifts. And at this point, it's pretty clear that this Switch 2 release is not just about a new price tag or a genuine attempt at launching something new, it's just another step in the same pattern that's been repeating for years. Back in the day, this used to be the company that took risks, that made magic, that redefined entire—
Pokemon, unironically, was a risk back in 1998 when they made the game on the Game Boy. They didn't expect it to pop off. They put a lot of effort into it, between like 5 or like 10 people that worked on it, and it popped off. Now they don't do that anymore. Same with fucking Blizzard, same with Bungie, same with Poopy Soft, same with every other fucking game company out there that used to be decent. It's so sad.
Genres and invited us into something truly special. But now, kind of just seems like they're relying on the fact that we'll show up no matter what. Even
didn't this guy, what's his name? The guy that made Mario a thing, he wasn't like credited in the Mario Kart credits. Like he was not involved at all or something. Yeah, Miyamoto. Yeah, they didn't credit him at all, so that means that he didn't work on it. John Nintendo. Yeah, that guy.
Kind of just seems like they're relying on the fact that we'll show up no matter what, even though they are so often very anti-consumer. It's because they know our nostalgia runs incredibly deep, and and
there's no other option but Nintendo. There's no other option for World of Warcraft. You play another MMO, that's fine. Like, I'm not saying you're not allowed to play another MMO, but there's no answer to World of Warcraft as a WoW addict, and it blows ass.
The more I've seen it, the harder it has been to unsee. Nintendo has mastered
Same with
something
Mario
I
and
can
Sonic
only
and shit.
describe as weaponized nostalgia. They've turned our childhood memories into a soulless business model, and the part that really hurts is that it works. It worked on me.
And if they try to make an answer for it, Nintendo will sue them. Thank you. That's actually what I was about to lead in with the whole Pal World on screen. Little chatter's like, yep, they're just gonna sue them. Why do you think they're suing the motherfuckers, man?
For so long, I've been the Nintendo fangirl who's bought the remakes, re-releases, and updated ports, even though I knew deep down that what they were offering was not anything new. And looking back on it, I don't know, I guess it was because I didn't feel like I was buying a game, it felt like I was buying a memory. And Nintendo knows that. They know that we remember how it felt to blast through Alien Worlds and Metroid Prime, or how it felt to spend hours raising your perfect Nintendog like it—
Oh my god, Nintendogs had a chokehold on me. Oh my god. Nintendogs!
was your actual childhood pet. They know we feel these titles in a way that goes beyond gameplay. And they have perfected the art of re-releasing titles, sometimes only mildly updated, at full price, locking legacy content behind paywalls and subscriptions, and offering nostalgia not as a gift.
Guys, we need to start charging people for using our Discord server. Not because it actually does anything, but because it gives me money. Okay? Are we're cool? Oh, sorry, I just had this like thought come across me again. We need to start charging people for even like typing in the server. That's what Nintendo is like, by the way. Are we getting perks? Nope, you get nothing. You get nothing. Start charging per message. Bro, I can't believe they're charging you money to use their shitty Discord knockoff with like 5 FPS. That's honestly a crime. I can't believe Nintendo is getting away with it and people are buying that slop.
But as a heartless transaction. And just a quick side note that I found out while I was writing out this video. Do you want to talk about heartless? Because I just found out that Nintendo actually replaced the voice actress for Princess Peach after 18 years.
Why?
And they didn't even tell her. She found out with the rest of the world when the new Mario Kart game came out.
Nah, that's so fucked up. Let me guess, SAG-AFTRA? Is it because of that? They treated Mario's VA similarly a few years back. I don't know if it's related to the SAG-AFTRA thing. Because I'm pretty sure they're Japanese voice actors, aren't they? That do this? I don't know, I'd have to research on it.
Like, that's actually insane. But anyway, to get back on track, there's always been a huge difference between celebrating fan love and exploiting it. And for me, it seems like Nintendo has lived long enough to finally see themselves become the villain. So moving on from the Switch to release, at some point, I started looking at how Nintendo treats the people who love their games. And what I found honestly broke my heart a little bit, because Nintendo doesn't just protect its legacy, they police it. Let's start with content creators.
The first time I got really disillusioned by Nintendo is because I really like watching Smash. I don't play Smash, but I like to watch it on stream. Like, I'll watch Box and stuff. And they went so hard on not having them have tournaments. Yeah. It's so crazy to me. Like, I didn't even know that they were that vehemently barring them for that shit. Like, you can't have playthroughs, or oh, you can't have like tournaments, you can't have like anything. Like, what the fuck?
This is nothing new. For many years now, Nintendo has been going after them. Streamers, YouTubers, musicians, for doing what, honestly, most other gaming companies celebrate.
Popular Super Mario Maker speedrunner streamers has all his levels deleted by Nintendo. Like, why? What's the reason? No, you're not allowed to make money off of us, bitch!
sharing their love for the brand and its IP. Somehow, I managed to kind of turn a blind eye to most of this until the Point Crow situation. He was a YouTuber who was making these really incredible Breath of the Wild mod videos. Fun, creative, and totally original. And then one day, Nintendo claimed and struck 27 videos. No warning, no conversation.
That's your entire channel gone!
Just straight up attacked. And it wasn't just his Breath of the Wild mods, it was any content that featured them, including other creators who had collaborated with him. It all got wiped out like a purge. And it made me pause because these weren't leaks and they weren't made to be malicious. It really was just fan content.
Damn it, I thought Blizzard was bad about like how they barred, you know, mods from Warcraft 3 and the new Reforged bullshit, right? Like, you think that's bad? Nintendo actually takes the cake.
Made out of love, and Nintendo really cracked down on it like it was a threat. And
they're like the Disney of they're the Disney of video game companies.
Was not an isolated case.
Yeah.
One that has really stuck with me was Gilvasunner. And if you didn't know, Gilvasunner's channel used to be one of the only places online where you could find full Nintendo soundtracks. For years, Nintendo basically had these locked up very tight unless you were able to purchase a physical CD from Nintendo themselves. They weren't on Spotify, Apple Music, Nintendo's YouTube channel, no official platform to listen to any of it. And Gilva wasn't—
God, they are so Disney-fied. That's crazy. I had no idea.
Even trying to profit from this. There were no ads or monetization, just the original music uploaded for fans who wanted to relive the moments those songs came from. It was really a gift to the community. And then it was gone. Nintendo initially sent over 1,300 takedown notices, and after that, it was followed by another 2,200. The entire channel was essentially wiped out, and Gilva closed up shop. And I know this might sound a little bit dramatic, but that was kind of a big turning point for me when it came to how I—
No, it's— I mean, I don't think I've ever heard of another company striking because of music, like, honestly. Like, I always listen to, like, Diablo and World of Warcraft stuff, and those ones stay up forever, pretty much. That's so fucked up.
Them. Just a little side note / confession, but as a former Disney adult who has learned the error of her ways, I feel pretty—
Oh no, that's why you like Nintendork so much. You're a Disney adult. I'm so sorry.
qualified to say this. Nintendo really is the Disney of gaming. They're wholesome on the surface, very full of magic and memories, but underneath, there's a very quiet, corporate malicious control. And both companies know how to tug at your childhood heartstrings while handing out copyright strikes and ulterior motives on the side. At the time I was watching this unfold, the more I sat with what happened to Gilvasunner, the more it made me wonder, why is Nintendo's music so locked away to begin with? These soundtracks have some of the most iconic songs in gaming. They were emotional, timeless, and they were very deeply personal for so many of us. And like I said earlier, Animal Crossing Wild World was my comfort game. And yet, at the time, there was basically no way for me to go listen to it legally. It felt like Nintendo had locked away their history in a vault, and they just would not let anyone open it up. And from there, I started noticing so many other examples. Fan games getting shut down, community passion projects being wiped out, and listen, I get it. IP protection is legally within their right. But it all just felt like they were going out of their way to crack down on this.
Because money, that's why. They don't give a fuck about you or like anything in between. They just want money. There's a limit? Well, technically there's not a limit because they're striking down 1,300 times on one channel. Like, yeah, I don't know. The limit is the sky, I suppose. Secure the profit? Yeah, well, that's clearly shown by the guy that was modding the Zelda stuff. And then boom, everything's gone and he just gets his entire life ruined, essentially. Wait, this just reminded me. Didn't they, like, some guy that was making mods, he got sentenced to jail and now he's getting like his wages garnished for like until he dies? What's his name? The guy named Baldur? I remember we talked about it for like two years ago. Pre-watched? Oh my god. Okay, never mind. I remember that happened too.
Very aggressive,
yeah,
cold,
Doug Bowser.
And even heartless. Especially when you look around at many
Not
other
pre-watched,
companies.
I just remember
Sega,
this.
Capcom, Xbox, PlayStation.
You know it's bad when Microsoft isn't even that bad.
Even some indie studios, and you see them amplifying creators, lifting them up, letting the fans be a part of the legacy. But Nintendo doesn't really do that. They continue to pull the plug again and again, and over time, I started wondering if maybe I had just been giving them the benefit of the doubt simply because I grew up loving them. So at this point, after the Gylfasunner takedown, I had already started to feel uneasy. The creator takedowns, the fan projects, the legacy content, it was all feeling a lot more controlling than caring. But the moment that truly stopped me in my tracks was when I heard the story of Gary Bowser. And I'll be honest with
Gary Bowser. Yeah, I remember his last name was Bowser and it was ironic.
you. I didn't even know about any of this until I listened to an episode of Darknet Diaries, which
I watched... who was it? Yeah, it was a video about Gary Bowser getting his wages garnished until he basically dies because Nintendo sued the fuck out of him over nothing.
by the way, Jack does an incredible job explaining all of this. I'll link it in the description.
Charlie, yeah, it was Charlie.
Now, I obviously knew at this point Nintendo could be very protective of their IP, but this was on a whole other level. Gary was a part of a group called Team Executor, and what they did was build and sell mod chips, little pieces of hardware that you could install in your Nintendo consoles to run homebrew apps, custom firmware, and yes, pirated games. But people also use those mods for stuff that wasn't necessarily piracy. They used it to run backups of games they already owned, or just experiment with the system for their own personal.
And also preserving, like, actual data. That's another big problem. With how tight they are, like, you lose so much. Like, if Nintendo headquarters blows up, how the fuck are we gonna have, like, any preservation of video games, for example?
Use, things that were really never going to be available through Nintendo directly. Gary essentially became the fall guy for the entire organization, and Nintendo came down on him in a way that was very extreme. In 2020, Gary was arrested at gunpoint in the Dominican Republic and extradited to the US. By 2022,
What?
He'd been sentenced to 3 years in prison and ordered to pay $14.5 million in damages, $4.5 million in restitution, and then another $10 million from a civil suit. And after he got out early, he still owed all of it, and he started paying Nintendo back 25 to 30% of his monthly income. Which
they permanently garnished his wages. Yeah. I remember that.
One point was just $25 a month from his prison library job. He'll basically be paying them for the rest of his life. When I heard that,
What the
my
fuck?
stomach dropped.
That's a drop in the bucket for them. They, like, literally put a gun to his head, man.
Genuinely felt heartbroken for him. Yes, what he and the rest of the team were doing was illegal, and they did profit off of it, but Gary was just one man. And are we really saying the punishment fits the crime here? Because
No.
whatever legal lines were crossed, this felt less like justice and more like hatred and wrath. And
Yeah, they don't want the money. They want to send a message. That's what's the most fucked up thing about it.
not just for what he did, but
It's
for
not about
daring
the
to
money, it's
even
the
touch
message.
Nintendo's closed system. And the part that really got me with this is Nintendo tried to get Sony and Microsoft to back them up here, to join the lawsuit and make it a united front against piracy. Both companies said no.
No way! Sony and Xbox fucking... Sony and Microsoft said, nah, that's kind of fucked up, dog. We're out of here. Even Sony, the hackers that stole credit card information and ruined people's lives got less of a sentence than Gary, the guy that was making a profit off of modding stuff off of Nintendo. Isn't that sad?
Sony and Xbox, billion-dollar publishers in their own right, refused to be a part of it. Even they seemed to think that it was too far. And again, I am not here to outright defend piracy, really. There's a whole conversation to be had about access, preservation, and ethics, but this felt incredibly cruel
It's
and predatory.
nuanced.
Nintendo did not just want to stop Gary from what he was doing, they wanted to make him an example. And for me, this was the defining moment when I knew Nintendo was no longer the company that I had loved for decades. And if you thought Gary
That's a
Bowser's
mafia.
case was just a one-off or a legal overreach in a rare situation, it wasn't. Because not long after that, Nintendo set its sights on something much bigger and arguably much more telling. You might have already guessed it, but I'm talking about Palworld. You probably remember when it blew up. A very weird, chaotic blend of Pokemon-style creature collecting and open-world survival mechanics. It was very messy, it was wild, but it was so much fun. People were very obsessed, myself included, and yes, come on, it clearly—
Dude, it's Pokemon with guns, man. It was awesome. Why don't you make Pokemon with guns, Nintendo? Oh, wait, you suck ass. Dude, even Blizzard, with how Classic happened with the private servers and them getting shut down, even they actually took some of the devs and talked to them and paid them to go to France and talk to them. 1v1. They weren't that bad. Yeah, they shut down the servers and they were being a dick about it and being stubborn and crying about how they stole their, you know, IP and stuff. But at the same time, even Blizzard isn't that bad.
Was inspired by Pokemon. That's not a secret. You could throw a spear, you could collect little pals, you ride them, you battle them. It was Pokemon adjacent, absolutely. But here's the thing. It wasn't a copy. The characters were different. The art direction, tone, many mechanics were different. It took a very familiar genre and gave it a bold, slightly unhinged twist.
No, you can't throw balls at the thing and then capture them. That's a patented copyright. No, you can't do that. That's illegal. Do you realize that without World of Warcraft, we wouldn't have Dota, we wouldn't have League of Legends? Like, you can't just. Yeah, we own your balls. Like, you can't do that. You kill creativity.
And for the first time in years, fans were saying, why doesn't Nintendo try stuff like this? Instead of taking that feedback in stride, instead of rising to the challenge, listening, learning, evolving, Nintendo did what they've been doing for a while now. They sued. Together with the Pokemon Company, they filed a patent infringement lawsuit against the Palworld dev team. Not over character design, surprisingly, not even over branding, but over mechanics. Things like throwing a Pal Spear to catch creatures, using them in combat, riding them across the world. And because of all of this, the Palworld team had to actually go in and change all of those features.
It's so ridiculous, man. And it's also draining money off of the game dev team to try and fight a multi-billion-dollar company with like infinite amounts of cash, basically. And again, Nintendo knows what it's doing. It's sending a message like, don't fucking do this. It's so disgusting. Yeah, it's okay because they have money and Palworld doesn't.
Out mechanics that players loved, not because they were unethical, but because they simply couldn't defend themselves against a legal juggernaut. And just like with the Gary Bowser case, Nintendo tried to bring other companies into the fight. Sony and Microsoft were purportedly approached to back them again here, and again, they declined.
Microsoft and Sony, they're like, we got better shit to do. We're okay.
Did not want to be a part of it. And all of this says a lot because this could have been a big moment for Nintendo. A wake-up call, an opportunity for them to ask, what is it that people are responding to? Why are they so excited about this? What can we learn from this? But instead of innovation, they chose litigation. And to me, it was not a stand for creativity or IP protection. The Pokemon formula has been around for literally 30 years. We all know what it is and where it comes from. And Palworld was not going to change that. No. This was Nintendo being a bully and swinging at anything that threatened the comfort of their complacency. They had an opportunity to grow, to evolve, to take advantage of someone already laying the groundwork for them. But instead...
It's so fucking pathetic. How many games have evolved from like a parent or a father game that just grandfathered ideas into existence? If we didn't have Warcraft 3, Dota and League of Legends would not be a thing. Just hands down, period. Blizzard was extremely salty and they tried to sue Valve, and in turn, Valve won, and that's how League of Legends was born, because people from the Dota All-Stars team and the Dota dev team, the first Dota, they went on to make League of Legends and Han, granted, died, but League of Legends went on to be one of the most successful video game companies ever. Riot, I mean, but like because of their, because of League of Legends. It's just like, why do you fucking care so much, man? There's only so much money you can take from people. Nerding. Yes, I know, I'm being a nerd. boycotting Nintendo. You know what's the sad part is that you can't really do anything about it because there's just not that many people that care about the semantics of this kind of thing.
They chose violence. And after everything, the creator takedowns, the lawsuits, the silencing of innovation, you think maybe Nintendo would at least try to get one thing right. Their legacy. I remember when Nintendo Online was first announced. It sounded like such a win, a way to legally revisit classic titles, play old favorites, dive back into the library that built up this brand. And at first, I was so hopeful, but the reality has been frustrating at best. Games get added randomly. Some months it's not much. Other months it's one obscure NES title no one really asked for. Entire consoles like Game Boy.
Because it's too much effort and they don't want to make... Because they don't make enough money off of it. That's really why.
Advance or N6.
The fact that I have to fucking get a Nintendo DS and then get a copy of Heart Gold to play it legally, like physically as a copy, and not pirate it, and it costs like approximately $500 to $600, and that's for one fucking game, is insane to me.
64 still feel incomplete, and sometimes titles will just disappear without warning or explanation. They're just gone. And now, with the launch of the Switch 2,
yeah, and they can do that, because fuck you.
I thought maybe they would just try to clean things up a bit. GameCube has finally joined the retro lineup, which is very awesome, but they only added 3 games at launch: Wind Waker, Soul Calibur 2, and F-Zero GX. Like, yeah, that's a cool trio, I guess, but it's also pretty bare bones for a
because it doesn't make money. Why would they want... How many people are realistically going to, like, buy or, like, get the Nintendo Switch Online bullshit just to play them? Probably, like, a couple thousand people, maybe, like, let's say 50K across the world. That's not a lot of money for them. That's why they don't do it.
Console with so many legendary titles, and yes, I know more are coming, but why launch with so few? Why not take the easy win here and give your fans what they've been begging you for years? Beyond the catalog, the performance isn't always there either. Sometimes there's lag, some games have awkward control schemes, others don't support cloud saves. It doesn't really feel like a premium service. It feels like something Nintendo begrudgingly maintains, and definitely not something that they can be proud of. The thing is I've always wanted to support something like this. I actually am very happy to pay to play these games legally. I want to revisit the titles that shaped me in a clean, easy way, but Nintendo has made it so hard. It's like they're sitting on this treasure trove of nostalgia, this very beautiful, powerful legacy, and instead of sharing it or celebrating it with us, they keep it to themselves and withhold it. They kind of hold it over us like drugs, honestly.
Yeah. Because they have that power, and they will sue anyone who will try to do it, to go against them. It's really pathetic, man. Like, even, yeah, the gaming Disney Vault? Yeah, the Disney Vault! Didn't they do that with DVDs? God, Disney is so fucking evil. They really have a stranglehold on, like, people like this.
On the fact that we'll continue to play the part of the willing addicts who will be so happy for even the tiniest drop. It really is heartbreaking.
Doesn't make
at this point, I'm
Why
not even really
Baldur?
mad about it. I'm just tired and maybe still a little bit sad. Now, again, to be clear, this video is not meant to shame anybody. If you bought the Switch 2 or you're a part of Nintendo Online and you're loving it, I think that's great. Truly, I am not here to steal joy away from anyone.
Well, it sucks because it's like the vast majority of people don't know that this is happening. For good reason, because they probably just, you know, don't really care. They just want to consume. God, then this fucking pisses me off. Zelda Nintendo Switch 2 Edition. The game hasn't even been out for like 5 years, and we're buying another copy. Like, why? You bought the Switch 2? No, I didn't. I'm just saying people will fucking buy slop.
This video really is just to talk about how I can't ignore how much my own relationship with Nintendo has changed over the years. And I don't love them anymore. Not the company, not like I used to. And that's difficult to say out loud because I grew up on these games. I spent summers chasing stars in Mario 64, winters decorating my Animal Crossing home, racing my siblings in Mario Kart, riding Epona across Hyrule Field like it was the most magical thing in the world. And for me, these were not just games. They were a part of my childhood. And that's why all of this hurts so much, because the company that once led with a full heart and love for gaming feels like it's running on autopilot, giving us the absolute bare minimum. Comfortable, safe, lazy, greedy. We're getting less and paying more. And look, the industry as a whole is a bit of a mess right now.
Yes, and you can play the Switch 1 games on the Switch 2. So like, why the fuck are you bothering to pay $80 for a fucking remake with sorry, not a remake, an HD upgrade to play it with 4K graphics on 15 FPS on the new Nintendo Switch console? I don't know, man. Blizzard looking kind of good right now. I'm gonna fucking play some World of Warcraft right now.
But it's still fair for us to ask for better, to feel valued as customers, to want these companies to care. And for a long time, I really believed that Nintendo did, that they were different, that they stood for something. But now it's hard to see how that could still be true. I always joke that my relationship with Nintendo is super toxic because even after all of this, even after how I've seen how they treat their consumers and fans, part of me still hopes that they'll change because—
Oh, me too, girl. Me too. Everyone feels that way. That's why they keep playing. That's what's sad about it, is that the sunk cost fallacy of nostalgia and wanting to like have that connection again makes you keep trying, and it's really sad.
Because they could. It really would be so easy. If they wanted to, they could be the company that supports creators instead of silencing them, shares their legacy instead of locking it away, prioritizes joy over control, and evolves instead of punishing innovation. I really would love nothing more than to fall back in love with them. But right now, it just seems like Nintendo is going to keep being Nintendo. Just very stuck and too happy to stay that way. The love that I once—
The only thing that will change it is if they experience a loss in revenue, and that is clearly not happening because it shattered records with the Nintendo Switch 2. Nintendo Switch 2 sold more in one day than the original did in first month. Can you fucking believe that? It actually shattered records? During the pandemic, I remember my friends were all talking about how they couldn't get the Switch 1, but somehow the Switch 2 ended up being worse.
Had for them was so real, and the magic really mattered. But the company behind that magic, it feels further away than ever. If you made it to the end of this video, seriously, thank you so much. And I would love to hear your story. What made you fall in love with Nintendo? Are you still in love with them? Or have you also had a bit of a breakup with them like me? Let me know in the comments. And thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.
Being a Nintendo fan is hard. Yeah, it's like upgrading your iPhone equivalent. Not really, because at least the phone lasts you like a couple of years, man. It's just sad. It's a love-hate relationship. You also need to be like really rich, to be completely honest with you, to play Nintendo games. I'm not even joking. I remember when I was wanting to buy the first Nintendo Switch, and then I wanted to buy Animal Crossing and Smash, and I couldn't decide, so I picked Animal Crossing. And I was like, fuck, man, it's gonna take me so long to save up and like justify a second game. That kind of thing. You have to have good money. Their games can still be great on the business side, though. No, I disagree. I don't think their games are even that amazing anymore. Yeah. Very sad, very sad. Go check her out. I totally feel for the background NPC. I feel very similarly in that way with Blizzard and a couple of other franchises, or not franchises, with companies like that. What's great? Another Mario Kart, a Pokemon game, a copy paste Mario. That's what I'm saying, man. Just garbage, really. Just start pirating. I don't know.